Hey artists! Today we're going to be doing a technique in watercolor called Wet on Wet, and when you finish it looks a little different than wet on dry, and I'll explain that real quick. So this side is wet on wet, which means I wet the paper first and then I put the paint on, and you can see how it kind of swirls all over. And then this is wet on dry, which means I took the wet paint and put it on the dry paper, and it doesn't mix together like this. So what we want to do, we want to take our paper today and we're going to do wet on wet with the cool colors. So the very first thing we want to do is put our name on the back and your class code. And then what I like to do, rather than just get water and spread it everywhere, I kind of like to go from left to right, kind of like when you read. So what I do is I get water on my brush and I kind of start up here and I kind of go in this corner here, because if I do the whole paper with water first, it's going to dry before I even get my paint on it. And then get some water on my brush, and you're just going to start dabbing more water, some different colors, and kind of spreading that out. Once I'm done with that little section, I'm going to get this little section underneath it wet, and I dipped it 3 times in water. Okay, so don't be afraid to add some water. Get some of this color in here, and then you can kind of swirl it together. Try not to scribble over top of the whole thing, but you can kind of mix it a little bit. And then I'm going to keep going. I'm going to do down here. I can even bring some of this blue and this greenish color down here a little bit. A little more. Get some of this. And I think that's the same, little blue. And guys, we're just going to keep doing this. Oh, I want some of this in here. We're going to keep doing this for the whole paper. So you want kind of a light color of cool colors. You can even bring some of this. Now I'm going to start down here and go up with my water. This kind of reminds me of when we did our scientists and we got our beakers wet first. We did wet on wet, and then we added some of these colors. When we did that, we used primary colors and we got new colors. I'm going to go up to the next section and just keep adding some more. You might decide I want a little more of this green down here. And you're just going to keep going like this for your whole paper. So I'm doing this little section up here. I dipped it 2 times. Some of this, some of this, some of this, and then I can kind of rub it together. I'm not pressing hard with my brush. I'm barely touching my brush to the paper. If you press really hard, you're going to end up getting little flecks of white, which is part of the paper flaking off. And we don't want to do that. I believe when we did our scientists and we did the water there, some people kept scrubbing and scrubbing and scrubbing and scrubbing. And what happens is the paper starts to come off, and you don't want your paper to rip. So honestly, I'm barely touching the paper. Might want a little purple in there. And you're just going to keep going and kind of mix your colors. Again, I'm just kind of going in sections with my water, getting my paper wet. Gently, maybe some of this. And this is still kind of mixing and the colors are bleeding together. So you're just going to keep doing this. paper is filled, then you're going to take your brush, put it in the sink, and we're going to take your painting along with your messy mat that will be underneath it, and you'll take both of those and put it in the drying rack. Okay? Remember, we're doing wet on wet, not wet on dry. We want it to kind of look like a beautiful kind of mix. Okay, good luck.